Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we figure out how to build and run a SaaS. I'm Benedikt.
And I'm Brian. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we work on our products and keep the lights on with consulting. Today is February 19th, and I am still feeling spit.
This is episode number 29, and I'm feeling excited.
Fantastic. Let's start with
Let's
start with the good news. What do you got?
Couple of small things, basically. First, most exciting thing is FemtoConf tickets are available. I
Get them
started
fast,
selling earlier
people.
today.
They're going to go like hotcakes.
Like at this point, it's only like 7 left.
Yeah, right.
So when this episode airs,
They're probably gone.
Maybe they are gone.
Man,
Maybe 1 or 2 are left. We'll see.
Benedikt, you really know how to drive the hype machine.
I don't know. I said this on Twitter. Like the limitation in tickets is not about the hype, but more about the atmosphere at the conference.
Yeah, totally.
Because in the past we had more tickets. We sold more tickets, but it was a little bit harder to keep up talking to everyone and meeting everyone. And then that made us decide, hey, let's keep it small.
Make it even smaller.
Let people talk to each other.
How?
So 25.
Yeah,
is a
20,
good
25 right now. You said, right?
Yeah.
How big was it when you were like, let's bring it back a little bit?
We had 30 tickets that year, like 30 attendees plus speakers plus sponsors. So we were like 40 people or so.
Okay.
And in the end, it felt like I didn't talk to 5 people or so. And that was the reason to bring it back down to 25.
Great.
I think initially we started with 12 or 15, the first edition.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice as well. But yeah, conference organizing gets easier with more people involved, like more people attending.
Well, cool. I'm excited for you, man. What's the schedule and agenda
I'm excited
and
too.
speakers looking like?
So we have 4 speakers confirmed so far. There will be 2 more, but I can't share those yet. So we have Asia Matos, Johnny Platt, Ed Freifogel, and Tracy Osborne. So this will be cool. I'm
Awesome.
really excited about the speaker lineup so far.
That's a really great lineup.
Yeah, I have high hopes. Not to put any pressure on anyone.
Well, that'll be great, man. Cool.
No, I'm not worried. That I'm sure they will do a good job.
Okay. Are there any next steps? I mean, following up with finalizing those speakers and getting ready for the event itself?
Exactly. Like I need to figure out the last 2 speakers and lock that in. And the next big challenge is probably finding enough sponsors. So we have like 4 sponsorship packages, and they're a little bit more expensive this year than in the previous years because I decided it's kind of fair to start at least reimbursing people for like speakers for their air travel fares and stuff like that, because I always had a feeling that it's kind of unfair to invite people to speak at a conference, have them prepare a 30-minute talk, travel, fly over, spend a bunch of their own money just to basically make your event work.
Yeah.
So I figured it's only fair to at least make it in a way so they don't have to spend their own money, or at least not as much as they would otherwise.
No, that's fair. That makes sense.
We'll see how that works out. Of course, the money has to come from somewhere.
Who have your sponsors been in the past?
It's been a mix. Like Balsamic was one of our sponsors that I think they sponsored almost every year. FE International sponsored a couple times. Castos 2 times. Yeah. Like it varies every year a little bit, but those are the regulars.
Okay. Any particular companies that you're thinking about reaching out to specifically, or a type of company?
Well, mostly companies that are somewhat related to the audience. sometimes there are people like, for example, Charles Perry of Release Notes. Like they run their own Release Notes podcast and conference, and they decided to sponsor. And I feel like sponsors like this are like the perfect fit because, like, well, for one, it makes sense for them to sponsor because they at least get their name out in relevant circles, and it's also nicer for the attendees when someone they can relate to is actually sponsoring and not some big anonymous entity that no one can relate to.
Yeah, makes plenty of sense. Good luck, man.
Thank you. I'm sure it will work out one way or another.
What else you got?
In other news, we have the first of our customers actually testing in-app messaging. So it's not just me anymore. It's also someone else, and it seems to be working for them. I don't think they have it shipped to production yet, but at least the setup wasn't complicated and they got it up and running within an hour or so. So that was exciting.
That is exciting.
On a little bit of a sad note, we decided to not launch in 2 weeks. Like the launch date was set to, I think, March 3rd. But yesterday we decided we're not going to make it 2 weeks to do all the marketing assets, prepare the launch, and prepare a big splash is not enough. And so we haven't set a new date, but it's probably early April or so.
Okay.
Because there's travel, Jane's traveling a lot in March and stuff like that. So yeah, delayed a little bit, but I still plan to get it polished and shippable by the end of the month. So there's still somewhat of a deadline for me. And
I mean, the bullet points you have listed and the ones you just mentioned there, the delay is just in getting the launch right on the marketing side of things and documentation, tutorial videos, that sort of thing. You feel pretty good about where the tech stands right now?
Yeah, like I already have a long list of improvements that we could make, but the list of things that need to be done before we can ship it, like in terms of the technical side and the product side, isn't that long. There's a few things I need to polish, like make the widget responsive so it works on mobile and have proper previews in the UI and stuff like that. So it's mostly small stuff. But the core of it is working, and I'm happy with that part.
That is the other interesting side of, like either a shape up cycle or a sprint length or, whatever model you're running under. When you're such a small team of 2 people, I mean, it's not just how long will it take to build this? Okay, well, how long will it take to build it? And how are we going to announce it? Where do we need to update the website? Where do we need to update docs? That's a interesting other element of it that's got to be hard to manage resources. Jane has 1,000 things she's doing as well. So
that's been challenging. And I mean, in theory, like it sounds like we could have started preparing some of that ahead of time, but like until 2 weeks ago, we didn't even have anything to record for a video to take screenshots of because it just wasn't fully integrated and wasn't fully styled and tweaked and polished. And now at least it's in a state where we can start producing those assets and think about what we're actually showing there. So yeah, I think that's just how it is. We'll have to delay it a little bit.
Any lessons or takeaways or anything you're going to change about the process because of this? Like, is it, we could have done this differently and then, had a different outcome? Or does it feel like, well, no, we'll finish things and then be able to launch them 2 weeks after we actually finish them? How are you thinking about it?
I guess one learning is probably to try to get everything integrated sooner rather than later.
Okay.
So it's easier to basically be working on all stuff in parallel, at least a bit. But then again, this was a big feature technical wise.
Right.
it touched so many parts, and I'm not entirely sure if it would even be possible to get it faster. Especially, I mean, now it's a little bit different that we are full time on it and have like more time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the delays in the last year were basically related to only having like 1 or 2 days per week to do this, and that just doesn't make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's making progress, and there's not much between now and the launch, so I'm happy about it.
Good, cool. Looking forward to seeing everything come out. Whenever it is.
I keep you posted. How are you feeling? You were somewhat down last week. Are you feeling better?
I'm still feeling pretty spent. Like I just feel pretty burnt out.
Okay.
And oh man, yeah. So I guess let's see. Last week we recorded, and then I had a good like random networking meeting, had a coffee with somebody, talked about jobs to be done work, and reached out to some past clients, and drummed up some leads there. So had some meetings come out of that, and talking to some folks about about lining up projects later this month and in March. That's all going well. And what was that? Yeah, at a conversation with somebody on Mega Maker, reached out to me about a part-time product role at their company. They were listening to the podcast, and I'm like, hey, if you if you're seriously thinking about this, reach out. So that was had a great conversation there. So like, plenty of things came out of last week, and had good conversations after last week. But like, I think overall, man, I am just feeling like I'm kind of getting tired of listening to myself talk. And so what I'm feeling like is I love this format. It is such a huge benefit for like the weekly regular check-in and update. Right now, I just feel so stuck in place that like I think part of me in my head is like I don't want to be a discouragement. I don't want to sound like the same. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. I'm spent. I'm burnt out. And there's just we say at the beginning that an honest peek into our lives. Honest peek into my life right now is like I kind of want to disappear for like 4 weeks, and just see where I come out on the other side, because I feel like I just feel like I need to find where am I gonna like get a hold and make some movement and progress and provide an update then and share that piece of the journey. Right now, I just feel so self-conscious about saying the same thing week in and week out that like, I don't want to be a discouragement or a negative voice, to other people who are thinking about doing this or messing with it, struggling with it.
It's only the second week. Like,
well, okay. Let me be a little more. What it feels to me like is we are on episode 29 here. And so it's not just like it's not just the second week of, what am I going to do? To me, it feels like the 20-somethingth week of, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know. It's hard to balance finding client work with making progress on my side project. It feels like I have been in that zone and in that voice and mode for so long that I am
so
just
similar.
Go ahead. Yeah.
similar to me and in-app messaging, right?
Hey man, that was a really big technical feature to build. And you built it, but gosh, that's
but
funny.
It's still not shipped.
That's funny.
So
Yeah.
I feel like I get what you're saying with like being worried about sounding like a stuck record or something like that.
Yeah. I think yeah. The thing is truly entering my mind of not just putting aside trying to build a side project and do consulting, which we talked about a little bit last week. Like, okay, what if you put the side project aside and really get consulting ramped back up, build up the coffers to create some more margin? I think the big thing I'm thinking about is like just dropping consulting and getting a job, and just getting a little bit of margin and rest, psychologically, mentally. So I think that that is factoring in such a big way to all of this, and that's why I'm saying I kind of there's a part of me that does just want to take a short break to get my head wrapped around this. What do I want to do? Because I feel like I need to make a real decision on that and go all in on putting things aside for a little bit, making my full-time job being finding a full-time job that can provide some stability and rest for a bit, or doubling back down on, here are the 20 articles about remote work I need to write. Here is the lead generation process I'm going to put into place to find speaking engagements, to get some advising and consulting work. And like, I know the things that I would do. Right now, I just feel like of such a split mind as to which of those directions I should or ought to go down, that it's an additional pain and like an additional discomfort and struggle to talk about it out loud each week. Right now, anyway.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, yeah, I mean, taking a full-time job probably isn't the baddest of ideas. I mean,
yeah,
there's definitely something to be said about like doing consulting work and then also having the responsibility of drumming up new work every couple of weeks or months and trying to do something like a product on the side. Maybe a full-time job is a solution to at least cut away the need to drum up new work every now and then. And maybe if it's not a like 40-hour or 5-day a week job, then maybe you can carve out a day or so for writing those articles and figuring out how to get speaking gigs, and but like not have the pressure of also having to find out how to pay the bills next month.
Yeah, for sure. So that what's your honest take right now
on all of this?
Yeah.
As I said, like, I don't think taking a job is a bad idea, especially if it's one that sounds good and probably gives you some time to do stuff on the side. If you want to do that, like, also fine if you just decide to just go full-time on the job and not care about anything else. That's also a path forward. But like from past experience with other people considering this, eventually they all want to go back to building their own thing. I feel like it's part of all of our DNA to have the desire to work in our own stuff. But I mean, it's your decision. Definitely not talking you out or into it.
Well, no, I just like to get multiple honest takes from like all around the table. And not for the sake of like feeling like, oh, talk me into this or talk me into that, but I like it when people just say what they're actually thinking.
Yeah,
and
like
kind of let
I
it
have to
blend
admit,
in.
yesterday, and I wrote this on Twitter as well. Yesterday was this job opening by Podia for a Rails developer, and Jamie Lawrence posted it and had a thread below it with some talking a little bit about the company and his thoughts on how people should apply and who should apply. And I was like, man, this sounds like a really nice job, and this is a great product. And I know a couple of people there, and they all seem genuinely nice. And it was one of those job openings where I was sitting there reconsidering what I'm doing for a moment. I was like, this would be a really nice job. Maybe I just drop everything I do right now and just apply and have a good time with them. But in the end, for me, in this particular moment, it's like, userless is pretty great right now. Right. Let's not do it. But I mean, it was one of those moments where we considered it. So it's really a good opportunity. And I don't know what companies you talk to or what you're thinking about, but maybe there's a similar situation for you. And you decide to take one of those.
I mean, it would be, remote. It would be a remote company. It would have to be a remote position. Like there are a couple of, just deal breakers, and they're definitely in that realm. I think that, the thing I went back and listened to last week, just because I was kind of curious, to like did a lot of thinking out loud and processing, and that's one of the things I love about doing this. And you pointed out, what Jane had mentioned, that persistence is like, that is one of these determining factors in eventual success in startups, and that has really been like a little tapping in my head all week long, and stuff. I'm like trying to balance or like weigh the pros and cons, and where do I want to go with this. And man, how do you think about this is the time to be persistent and to push through versus, oh man, no, this is stupid. Like, deck is stacked against us here. Odds are not in our favor. Let's work smarter, not harder. So how do you think through those things?
I'm not sure I have a good answer. I think it's mostly a gut feeling, to be honest. I mean, userless doesn't make enough money to pay us anything right now, so this is a gamble, right? We don't know if it will work out or not,
right?
But it feels like there's something there that it could work, and I'm just like thinking, okay, let's give this a try for half a year, maybe a year, whatever, and use this as an investment. But if that feeling of there's something there wouldn't be there, like if I think back like 2.5, 3 years ago, when I basically realized that my previous product wasn't going anywhere, I was really considering, like, I wish Podia was hiring back then, because it would have been that same job positioning. It would have been an easy choice to just do it and get a full-time job for a while, especially like as I said, if it's a great company, a remote position, tech stack that I like, and all these things. I think I remember. I think I actually asked Jamie back then, like, "Hey, are you hiring?" And he was like, "No, sorry." So,
yeah. That okay. Well, I mean, so what I heard you say in there, the balance, trying to decide, is this a situation where I need to be persistent and push through, or is this a situation where no, this don't be ridiculous, find a way to work smarter and not harder, and push harder. Like you just mentioned, are there signs that there's something here? Like, of course it's a gamble. You can't read the future or see the future. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but are there signs and signals that are at least suggesting to you there's hope? there is
Yeah.
like you're not doing something irrational or foolish. There's a potential upside on the other end.
Yeah, and like for user list right now, it's mostly people are signing up for it, people are starting trials, people are paying for it. It's slowly growing, but it's growing.
Yep.
Like those are all signals to me that tell me,
You're
hey,
onto
there's
something.
something there. We haven't figured it out. Like it's not like a rocket ship that will just like send us to success within the next 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But there's at least something there versus my previous product where basically, nothing was happening. Like people wouldn't sign up. If I was able to reach out to someone, it would take months for them to actually make a decision if they want to use the product or not.
Right.
And like it was obvious there back then that this wasn't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in your situation there's probably something there, like there's interest in there.
Yeah.
But the question is, like there's no clear way to making this a sustainable business right now. I think that's
right.
That's the thing you're struggling with, right?
Yep.
The signals are kind of good, but it's not clear on how to get money out of this and be able to sustain yourself.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's where maybe taking a full-time job, a part-time full-time job is a good idea, because it would allow you to explore the space a little more and get a grip on it and try a couple things without having to worry about where the money comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I keep coming back to. That's where I keep arriving at, is having this feeling of, I wish if I would have stumbled on this a year and a half ago. Well, I had a lot more, energy in the tank. And you know what I mean? And also just the feeling of, it would be really, really good experience to work with a fully remote team, yeah, I don't know. Well, I do know where I'm leaning. And it just feels, I don't know exactly how it feels, but all right. Thanks for talking that through. Yeah. Appreciate getting your thoughts on it.
So do you have like a full-time job lined up that you like
lined up? No. I mean, there's
just thinking out loud. Mostly.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of positions that I'll apply for, and that one of which I expect to be extremely competitive, and then a few others that feels like, oh yeah, wow, I'm a great fit for this position. This would be a total win-win here. So hopefully it'll go somewhere. What it means now is committing to, okay, deep breath, like taking a full couple days to like update the resume, write the cover letters, be an invested applicant, which I think is just respectful of the company. Like what I don't want to do is kind of 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door, start the process. And like, I'm kind of on the market, not really, kind of, and just see if something happens like that. I would feel like I wouldn't feel great about doing that to the company, to take their time to, do some interviews and then in the end be like, oh no, I kind of changed my mind on this. Like, I want to be able to say no. If an offer comes in, I'm going to accept it. And that feels like a day or two of processing and grieving to
I get
to be able to get there.
I get where you're coming from in terms of like being invested and having the respect to actually be invested. But I'd be like, I think to me, applying to a job is as much of an evaluation as of the position like this an evaluation of myself from them. Like I think it's a mutual thing, like checking each other out and seeing if it's a good fit. So I mean, yeah, you kind of invested in the sense that you take the job if it's good, but I wouldn't feel obliged to accept it if there are any red flags or you feel like in the end of the process. I thought about it, like, and now that I've been through all of this, maybe a full-time job isn't for me because of whatever reason I discovered. I think that's still fair, don't you think?
I think it's fair if something comes up about the company or about the position or their expectations that weren't clear from the posting. I'm saying, like, what I don't want to do is for everything to line up, everybody likes each other, and then for me to say, after thinking about it, I'm going to continue to work for myself. That's what I'm saying I don't want to do. And also, I mean, like, just making sure that, like, the cover letter is personal and things that, like, it's going to take time. Sure. Yeah, it's going to take some time. Anyway,
but I'd be interested in seeing, like, what happens, like, when you get an offer and then basically have to make the decision and everything kind of aligns, and then listening to what your heart and your gut says.
Yeah.
And then I think it's important to listen to that, because, like, if everything is perfect, but it's a full-time job and you're like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right, then it's probably a good sign that you shouldn't. Yeah. That you should keep consulting or whatever, being independent.
Yeah. I think that probably the ideal thing that I would not have a difficult time saying, oh my goodness, yes, let's do this, is like a 20-hour a week, senior product position, or, like, product manager position, that offers, a baseline of stability at the same time, like plenty of some additional time during the week to set aside and focus on building my own product.
Yeah.
So, well, that's what I'm on the lookout for. 20 to 30 hours. Product thinker.
So offers to bray at brianray.com.
Yeah. Good grief. What a ride. What a ride.
Well, it worked last week, right?
Yeah, man. Don't you think it'll be so interesting to go back and listen from episode 1 in like 5 years?
Probably, but I know some people, like other podcast hosts, are listening to their own episodes, but for some reason I can't do it.
Yeah,
editing is hard enough for me.
Yeah, I listened to probably like 1 out of 6 or 7. Like,
I haven't listened to any of them yet.
Really, not a single one?
No.
Oh
no, just during editing, like, and even then, not all of it, like only like important parts and stuff like that. Maybe I should try it, but I don't know. It just scares me too much. But listen, you said something. You said something earlier that you, like, when we started talking about all of that you need a break from the podcast as well.
Well, because like I was saying, I don't know that I have much of an like, in this feeling of in between stuckness. Like, I don't know that I have a lot of value to offer right now, and just feeling like not wanting to be a broken record, and I don't know. That's
I don't know. I feel like now it gets interesting. Like, there's stuff moving, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound at all like a broken record at this point.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
I'd be sad if we don't continue following your story here.
Okay. All right, man.
Did I talk you into keeping the podcast at least for a little while?
Well, to be clear, I was never saying, "Hey, let's shut down the show and consider it archived." But just like, okay, do I want to record episode 40 next Wednesday morning?
It's only 30 next week. Don't worry.
Yeah.
10 more to go.
Right.
No, joking.
Yeah, whatever I said. So, okay. Yeah, all good. Let's keep the train rolling. Keep the streak alive.
And I don't think you sound like a broken record.
Okay.
I think in parts we probably both sound like broken records. But I mean, this show isn't called Slow and Steady without a reason.
Yeah.
It's just unrealistic that we'll have like huge breaking news every week. That just doesn't happen. And I think it's just a slow process and
totally
takes some time.
I think, like, in full transparency, I feel like disappointed in myself to be this far along and like, okay, you started a bootstrapping in public project. Brian, what's your MRR? Still 0. Like, that feels really disappointing, man.
Yeah, but like, that's the reality. Like, that's just how it is. I mean, we've been doing userlist for 2.5 years, and userlist, we crossed 2K MRR 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of ridiculous as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just wanted to share. Like, that's the other thing. Like, it feels, what am I doing here? What am I doing?
Yeah. But that's the ongoing question we all have to ask ourselves.
Cool. Okay. Do
you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I was just gonna look at the notes, be sure we got to everything. Yeah, I think we can wrap this one up. Show notes are at slowandsteadypodcast.com. Find us on Twitter by our names. Talk to you next week.
Links are in the show notes.
Yes. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. We will talk next week.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Later.